Alright guys, let's review for the test. Okay, and we're factoring polynomials. Okay, first one, say factor the common factor out of each expression. Okay, which means you're not solving. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do when you get one that has like this with two terms, you're going to factor out your numbers, see what you can pull out. I see I have a 9 and a 9, and then I have a set of b's. Okay, so obviously I can pull out the 9s. And then looking at the b's, I have 2 of them here, 1 here, so the most I can take is 1. The 9s cancel out here. We're taking 1 away from here, so we're just left with the b. Over here, both of them cancel. Now when both cancel, we have to put it a plus 1 because we got to hold that spot. Let's take a look at another. We have 60 plus 10x. Okay, since there's not an x in both, that means we can't make it common and pull it out. But we can look at 60 and 10, and I know since 10 has a 0, I can pull 10 out here of the 60. So I'm just going to pull out a 10. No variable though. Divide 60 by 10. I'm left with the 60. The 10 cancels out, or just as a 1, and it'll be plus x. Okay, so let's look at one right below it where it's got 3 terms. Okay, once again, look at your numbers. Okay, I got a 27, 45, 36. 27 is the lowest, so I'm going to go ahead and make its factors. So 1 and 27. 2 doesn't go in, but 3 does, and so does a 9. So 3, 9, and 27. 27 won't go into 45 and 36, but 9 will. So the greatest common factor is a 9. Now looking at the variables of the a's, there's 4 here, 2 here, 1 here, with 1 being the least. That's the most we can take out. Now go in. Negative 27 divided by a 9 is a negative 3. I have 1a, so I'm going to take the 1a out of here, so 4 minus 1 is 3. So this one is a to the 3rd power. Then do 45 divided by 9, which is 5. Take your 1a away from the 2, and you're left with just 1. The last part is you got the 36 divided by 9, which is 4. The a cancels out, so there's no variable left there at the end. Okay, go down to 6. 6, you're going to do the same way, so look at your numbers, 64, negative 72, and negative 56. Well, first, since each term is negative, pull out a negative. Now look at your lowest, which is 56. So 56, do your terms, 1 and 56. 2 will go in there. 2 goes into 56 28 times. I believe 3 will go into 56. Nope, 3 does not. 4 might. 4 goes 14 times. I'm getting a little squished in here. And then, see, so 4. 5 doesn't work. Does 6 go into 56? No. But 7 does, so I'm going to kind of go up here, 7 and 8. So now going from the back, 56 does not go into 64 and 72. 28 does not. 14 is going to go into one of them and not the other. But 8 will go into 64, and so will it go into there. So your greatest common factor here is 8. And it's going to be a negative 8 since we decide we're going to pull the negative. So then go, well, hold on, I almost forgot about the variables. I have an m and an n. Okay. I have an n here, so that means m cannot be pulled out because it's not common here. But there's no n here, so there's no variables being pulled out of this, just the negative 8 for your greatest common factor. All right, so then negative 64 divided by negative 8 is a positive 8. Not pulling out any variables, just write m and n. Then we're going to do negative 72 divided by a negative 8. It'll be a positive 9. Just rewrite the n since you didn't pull it out. And then negative 56 divided by a negative 8 is a positive 7. So this is completely simplified here. All right, So let's go back to the other side. So let's look at number 3. So number 3, we have 3 terms, a 90, a 90, and a 9. 9 being the smallest. It's also the greatest common factor because I can take 9 into each one. So write your 9 on the outside. Then taking a look at your A's. Here's an A to the 4th, A to the 3rd, A to the 2nd. 2 being the smallest number, so that means I can take out at least 2 from each one. Okay, so once again, 90 divided by 9 is a 10. I'm taking 2 A's away from the 4, so I have 2 left over. 90 divided by 9 again, and this will be negative since it's a negative 90, but it'll be a negative 10. Take 2 A's away from the 3, I'm left with 1. Last term, negative 9 divided by 9 is a negative 1. And I'm taking both the A's away, so it's just a negative 1 on the outside. Now remember, it's holding a place. I had 3 terms here. I have to have 3 terms in here. Okay. All right. So number 5 is more of a difficult one because we've got numbers and 2 variables. Once again, first look at your numbers. 28, 35, and 21. Take your lowest being 21 and look at its terms or its factors. 1 and 21 and 3 and 7. 21 will not go into those two, not a factor. So our greatest common factor will be 7 because I can take it into 28 and 35. Now look at your x's. I got 4 here, and 5 here. My least being the 4, so I can take those out because they're the greatest common factor of the x's. Now look at our y's. There's 3, 2, 1, 1 being the lowest, so I'm going to be able to take out 1. So now go through your numbers. 28 divided by 7 is 4. All 4 of the x's were taken out, so I don't need to write them here. I'm taking 1 y away from here, so this will become y to the 2nd power, or y squared. Negative 35 divided by 7 is a negative 5. Took all 4 x's, so you don't have to write it here. Take 1 y away from the 2, I'm left with a 1, just a y. Do negative 21 divided by 7 is a negative 3. I will have an x left here because I'm just taking 4, so there's 1 x, but I took that 1 y away. So there is this one completely taken out with the common factors. Okay? All right, our next 6 have to do with factoring each completely. When you have 4 terms, you group the first 2, then the last 2. Okay, so do the same what we did at the top. Look to see what number can I take out. I can't take out a number, so no number is going to be pulled. But I can still take out a variables. I have x to the 3rd, and then I have x squared. So the 2 being the least, I could pull out at least 2. So here I didn't pull out a 2, so it stays. I'm taking 2 of the x's away, so I have an x left, or x to the 1st power. And then the 3 stayed, and the 2 came out. Now what I want is I want that back group to have the same, like what I like to call the leftovers. Or when you pull out your greatest common factor, what's left. Okay, so looking, I got a 4 and a 6, and I need to make this 4x to a 2x. So I think I can do 4 divided by 2, which is a 2. The x's will cancel out. 6 divided by 3, which is a 2. So I'm able to take out a 2. And if I kind of check it, 2 times 2 is 4x. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay. The next part of this is you combine what you pulled, so x squared plus 2, put parentheses around it, and then what you pulled out gets written just once. Okay, let's take a look at one more like that. Okay, so for number 8, still doing the same thing. Group the first 2, group the last 2. Okay, so 35x to the 3rd power minus 25. I automatically look and say they both end in 5, so I can take out a 5. X to the 3rd, x is 2nd, so I can pull out 2. So 35 divided by 5 is a 7, and I'm left with 1x once I take out 2. Negative 25 divided by 5 is a minus 5 or negative 5. Okay, and the x's were gone. So over here I want to make it 7x minus 5. Okay, so look, 21 divided by 7, it'll be a 3. Negative 15 divided by negative 5 would also be a 3. So I need to pull out a positive 3. Once again, write what your common factors were. So 5x squared plus 3. Write what was the leftovers. 7x minus 5. And this is completely factored out. Okay. Let's look at 10. Now I got to factor a trinomial. If you remember, this is where we played the x game. So you make your x. Remember I'll write it over here. Remember it's c over b. This is a, this is b, this is c. So negative 2 goes up at top. Now looking at the x, there's a 1, so that means our b is a 1. Now, the only factors we have for 2 is 1 and 2 since it's prime. So it's going to be 1 and 2. But then I see it's got to be a negative 2, but I need this to be a positive 1. So if I do 2 minus 1, that would make it a 1. Because remember, these have to multiply to get the top, be combined by addition or subtraction to get the bottom. Now remember, we're just rewriting what's in the middle. So it becomes x plus 2, and then x minus 1. Okay, let's look at the bottom one. So once again, we're going to make our x. So 54 at the top, negative 15 at the bottom. Okay, so looking, 1 and 54 is not going to work. 2 and whatever that's not. 3, 4, oh, I know, 6 and 9 will go together, and that'll make it 15. So I'm going to do 6 and 9. Now I see I got a negative down here. So that means these got to add up to be a negative. Oh, so they're both going to be negative, and then a negative times a negative makes a positive. So once again, we're going to do this. It becomes x minus 6, x minus 9. Okay. All right, let's look at this one. It's a little tricky too. We're going to make our diamond, negative 54 and 3. Oh, it's going to be 6 and 9 again. And since this is positive, I'm going to make this the positive, this the negative. So instead this time it's x minus 6 and x plus 9. All right, good luck on the test, guys.